Well, it's a new day. Welcome to the Big Mo Real Estate Radio. You can find us at bigmoradio.com. I am joined here with my good friend, co-host Chris Widener, and we're coming to you I'm in Austin, Texas. My good friend Chris Widener is out of the Scottsdale, Arizona area, and I hope you guys are doing well. This is going to be an episode that I think you want to tune into and really listen in on some key things. Chris comes out of the speaking world and have spoken to hundreds of thousands of people. And I know you've run into dealing with difficult people. And so we deal with difficult people, the challenges that we face each day. If we're in the relationship business, as many of us are, we deal with difficult people. And so how do we stay positive? How do we deal with difficult people? And so, Chris, I'm happy to have you here today, buddy. Good to see you.
Thanks. Good to see you too. Yeah, it's crazy, whether it's in the speaking world, and frankly, in the speaking world, most of the difficult people are the speakers. In fact, I tell the people who hire me, I tell them, I will be the easiest speaker you've ever worked with. That is my goal, to be the easiest speaker because there's a lot of these prima donnas that come in and they got these contract writers, the room has to be 72 degrees and I have to have all the brown M&Ms out and, all that kind of stuff. But, I'll tell you though, my wife and I are building a real estate company, and as you are, there in Austin, and my wife is a realtor. And last week we had some out-of-town clients that were coming in to buy a second home somewhere between $2.5 and $3 million. So a significant investment for a second home. And they got in, we were going to go with them on Tuesdays. Well, they got in earlier than we thought. We couldn't go with them on Sunday. We already had other commitments. And so they went out by themselves. So they went to an open house where there was this woman, and it was a house that they had already asked Denise to set up an appointment at. So we had an appointment at like 4 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon, but they happened to go through it on Sunday anyway and decided that they didn't want that particular house. So they told Denise, they said, hey, we don't need to go see that house. So Denise called this other realtor up, and she said, she just got really angry and weird. And she said, well, Denise said, I just want to let you know that we won't be at our 4 o'clock meeting tomorrow because they've already seen the home. And the lady said, we don't have a 4 o'clock meeting. I don't know what you're talking about, a 4 o'clock meeting. And so Denise screenshot the text where they had agreed to meet 4 o'clock. And she said, here's my recollection of my screenshot of my text between you and I. It might help jog your memory a little bit. She gets it. She says, so they've already seen the house? And she said, yes, they saw the house this weekend. That's why I'm trying to give you the courtesy of letting you know that you can free that calendar up. Kid you not, the woman hung up on her.
Oh my.
And so I immediately Google the woman's name, and I go and I look at it, and I expected maybe like a 26-year-old young gal or something who just hasn't learned poise and etiquette and all the things. She was a 50-year-old woman selling high-end homes. I was like, wow. But there's just always going to be stuff like that, right? People that just are difficult to get along with, and it's just it's really too bad.
It's too bad, and on occasions, we do. We just at times we expect it, in our industry. It's just something that when you deal with enough of people in real estate dealings, and even with speaking in different capacities, it's just going to happen, And so how do you go about staying? It's so funny because you talk about the brown M&Ms and lukewarm Boz or whatever it may be. How do you stay positive? I mean, how do you work through those challenges? When you're working with some folks like
well,
that?
Yeah, you should actually be able to control your own. So we take ownership of our attitude, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody else's attitude is their attitude, and being a jerk, being difficult is an attitude that expresses itself in behaviors. Those behaviors come from an attitude or a perspective on life. And so I think it's really important for us to understand that they are making a choice. Many people have probably read Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. And Frankl is one of the classic books everybody should read. And he was in Auschwitz, I believe, but I know that he was in one of the concentration camps, and they did, medical tests on him, and they starved him and all. And he decided that he was never going to let the guards' attitude or mistreatment affect him. He said, the one thing I could control, I couldn't control where I was, couldn't control what I got to eat. The one thing I could control was my internal state. It's not the verbatim language that he used, but that's the language that we would use in sort of modern vernacular, is I can control my state. So I think the first thing we have to realize is no matter who you come in contact with in your world every day, you choose that you're going to be the positive person. And I think that's the way that we have to do it, is we have to be constantly conscious, because otherwise we bump up against these people. And next thing you know, you're like, why'd that person treat me that way? And then we turn to go to our next meeting and we treat that person that way. So we can't let it rub off on us.
Yeah, and it's so important that we start each day. I mean, we talked on a previous episode about how to begin your day, and some values that you share, and some boundaries, some things that you start your morning off. And there's something about having a grateful heart and just a sense of gratitude. I mean, the fact that you're able to go out and meet with someone that may be difficult, or go speak at an engagement where there's going to be some difficult people. The fact that you are able to do that, and you got a new day, you got people to meet, things to do. There's something about gratitude and being thankful and giving thanks for these opportunities. And so, gratefulness is a good thing. There's no doubt, having a grateful heart. So,
yep.
Is there?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the other thing we need to do is we have to sort of categorize people. There's people who are just having a bad day. Right? Mm-hmm. They're just having a bad day. They got behind. They didn't get their child to daycare, which made them late for this, which made them run a stoplight. And then they got a ticket, which made them late for the next thing. And then their broker chewed them out because they missed a piece of paper yesterday. And then they show up on your doorstep and they're just difficult. So I think that's one category. And the way we treat that category is just a lot of grace, because we've all been there, right? Mm-hmm. I still think that they should choose to be positive and kind and not let their troubles affect the way they treat other people. But I think there's just some people like that. It just happens to be their day. Then I think you have some people that are just inept, or they're not particularly disciplined. These are the people that are always late, right? Mm-hmm. They're difficult to work with because they're always late, or they're always going to miss a piece of paper that they need to file, or they're going to, XYZ LMNOP. And I think with these people, we have to sort of correct them, and I think because they're not bad people, but they just need some information. So let's say you deal with a teammate on your team, or maybe maybe you're in a smaller town and you do a lot of deals with the same people, those kinds of things. I think those are the kinds of people where you just sit them down, take them to lunch and say, you know what, Joe, we do a lot of deals together, or, I love working with you in the office, whatever your relationship is with them, and butter them up a little bit. And I don't mean that, don't mock them, don't say anything you don't believe, but I believe you can find something good about anybody. Sit down with them and just say, you know what, I really love working with you. I love doing all these deals with you. You're great in so many ways. I have a question though. I'm wondering if we could talk about this, because I feel a little bit anxious about it, and I don't want to feel that way with you. I want to just have everything cleared out. So it's always about upholding the relationship and valuing the relationship. And then just saying something like, you're late a lot. And I think you could probably even say it with a smile on your face, kind of like I just did. Buddy, you're late a lot. And instead of going, what I hate about you, you're late all the time. Like, a lot of it is in the way we hand it to them. And so I would say we just say, you're late a lot, and it makes me late to my next meetings, and then people get mad at me, and then I get frustrated at you because you made me late. And I'm just wondering if maybe we could work on that a little bit. I think you could say.
That's so good. I mean, it's good to pay them a compliment first. I mean, it's like, walking in and just, boy, you look sharp today. You know, it's a beautiful day. Good morning to you. There's something about that. And I will tell you, whether you're dealing with a teammate or you're dealing with a client of yours, you know, it's best to walk alongside them and partner with them. You know, no one's above anyone else, because we've all had days that we are difficult, you know,
Yep.
and what's important is that
I had years when I was difficult, Chris.
I mean, we're not by any means, we've not perfected this, but it's something that we deal with. But what we have found is that when you walk alongside and you partner with someone, and that's what we do, we're there's a togetherness, there's a collaborative, there's something grateful that we both have. There's something, and sometimes we just got to go digging for it. So it's asking really good questions. It might be just, there's something.
You might even say, is there something going on? You're late a lot. I mean,
right.
Need some help with some things? Can I help you with time management, or, you know, offer to help? I think that's a great point. You know, I think the other thing we can do is constantly remind them that the relationship is the most important thing. We could say something like, you know what, I don't like confrontation, but I really feel like, you know, I need to talk to you about this because it's causing a little bit of angst with me. And I don't like confrontation, and I'm not, you know, you sort of, not weaken it isn't the word, soften it. Soften it is the word that I'm looking for. And then the last category are people that are just difficult people. They're mean, they're ornery, they're selfish, they're narcissistic, they want their way. By golly, they're going to get their way no matter what. And they're just difficult. And so what I would say is you have one of two options with these folks. The first option is just not do business with them. You know, I'm not going to do business with you. You know, Jim Rohn and I talked about in our book about the 3 different kinds of associations: expanded associations, limited associations, and disassociations. And there are people, in fact, I was helping raise some money for a company recently, and there was a guy that has the money, and I know philosophically he would have liked to have done this deal, but I've had business dealings with him in the past, and I simply did not call him. It would have solved a problem for me, but I did not call him because he's so difficult to work with, and everything is about him, and I wouldn't want to bring him into the people that I was raising money for. I wouldn't want them to have to then deal with his stuff. So you just disassociate. But then the other one is, what if this is an agent who's like always bringing you $3 million deals, right? Now you're like, oh, my 3% of the 3 million is pretty good. I can put up with a little bit of Martha's malarkey, right? And so I think that's just the decision you have to make. Am I going to do business with these folks and just take it and understand that there's just difficult people, but it's worth the money? And I wouldn't be so self-righteous as to say that people shouldn't do those deals or work with those people, but you need to make a conscious decision that you're probably going to get burned a couple of times. You're probably going to get left with a mark or two. But if that's your choice and the money's worth it to you, then I think that's a fair exchange.
Yeah, you know, the hardest thing sometimes that we do is just tolerate it and just continue to work in that scenario. And a part of serving people well is sometimes just saying, you know, it's not the best fit, you know, and there could be someone in your network that you could refer them out to. Somebody, you know, is going to help them, and it may not just simply not be a good fit. And so I like to take the route many times where I've got to communicate and just say, Chris, it's not the best fit for us to work together. I'm happy to connect you with someone, and I will tell you, there will be a peace, there will be a joy, you know, that will come about you, but then you got some of the folks that you're saying that are on your team that you do see on a regular basis, day to day, week to week. Somebody, maybe it's a broker, maybe it's someone that you have to see or communicate with, you know. Then,
Those are the ones you want to limit your association with. If you have to be
okay,
with them, then you limit it.
right,
Let's say your broker is just really difficult. You
right.
just go to your broker for what you need and you walk back out of the office. You don't spend a lot of time there, trying to, because some folks you're never going to win over.
Mhm.
I guess, sort of in closing on my perspective, I would say that one of the best ways to make sure that people aren't difficult to you is to not be difficult to other people. That, what you sow is what you reap. And if we
Mhm.
sow kindness and we sow ease of getting along and we sow relationship, I think you'll probably find that most of what you'll get back is that. But then there are just times when you're going to run into people who they are difficult, and it doesn't matter how much you give, they're not going to ever give it back to you. And then you have to make that decision about how to, or to what degree you work with them.
Mm, good stuff. Well, guys, I'm happy that you joined in today, Chris Widener. It's always a pleasure, my good friend. You can find us at bigmoradio.com, where we help you make more money, build momentum, and get motivated. And we want to help you each week. We've got some really fun things that are coming up here in the next few weeks and next few episodes. You can find us at bigmoradio.com. Hit the like button. You can find us on YouTube and any social media channels that you may find. But join us each episode, and we're looking forward to spending more time with you and learning more about how we can help you grow and build a great business. So thanks so much for joining us, Chris. Thanks so much for your time today, and we'll see you next time.